It'll be third and less than 2 yards. Call it 3rd and 1 for the Buffalo Bills. That's the time remaining in the first half. 14-0, and a chance for the Bills to open it up. You look at the first downs. It could be 21-0 at the half. It could be a long afternoon for the Falcons.
And how devastating that statistic is, because the Bills didn't touch the ball until 8.5 minutes had been played in the first quarter.
They made it up in a hurry, didn't they? Third and a long one. Leaks and Cribbs the setbacks. 2 tight ends. And Joe Cribbs with Roosevelt Leaks blocking. And he is close, may have it. May have that first down. He was hit behind, and then on the second effort dove forward, and everything will be in where they spot the ball right here.
Interesting play call on 3rd down. They've been running the ball 3 straight plays. Lions have just gone on top over the San Francisco 49ers. 32-yard touchdown, 32-yard field goal by Eddie Murray. Detroit 10, San Francisco 7. Now it's 4th and short, and the Bills fans are not happy with Chuck Knox's decision.
Well, he's leading 14-0, and if he makes it 17, he knows the Falcons need 3 touchdowns to take the lead in the second half. It's a pretty comfortable margin as you look at Detroit leading San Francisco 10-7. Nick Mickemeyer will attempt the field goal.
He also knows if he puts 3 on the boards, the Falcons have to come back and go up top, and his secondary has already picked off 3 Steve Bartkowski passes.
Which I think they have to come up on top anyway in the second half. That's what happens when you're behind. Mickemeyer, you see 9 for 12 field goal attempts. 4 for 5 within 40 yards.
Now
We'll see where they spot this.
You've got David Humm, an ex-quarterback, as the holder. You don't have a fake here, do you?
Well, maybe you do. It's something good to think about. Be a 37-yard attempt for Mickemeyer. And I think the Falcons are looking that way. Kick is blocked. Kick is blocked, and the Falcons are going to pick it up. Pridemore in the open field, and Tom Pridemore is out of bounds. The kick was blocked, and Tom Pridemore, and now the fans are going to second guess Chuck Knox, because one of the things that can happen on a field goal attempt, we just saw a block, and now the Falcons have good field position with 1:43 to go.
Snap was good, spot was good, good penetration, and it looked like it might have been the rookie Kenny Johnson who got through there. Pridemore picks it up, and look who makes the tackle. Number 5 for the Buffalo Bills, Nick Mickemeyer. They came in from the left side as you look.
Maybe they should have listened to you and gone with the fake. So the kick is blocked, and now the Falcons have it 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 46. And how would they love to get on the board before this half is over?
And they go back to the 3-4 with the nickel defense.
Bartkowski can't find a receiver, but he's got time, and here comes the rush. Ben Williams was the first to get him, and Sherman White put the seal on. And for that play, you can credit the secondary and the linebackers for just smothering the Atlanta Falcon receivers.
That time the 3-4 worked. That's some of the criticism of the 3-4, though. In an obvious passing situation, you can't put enough pressure on the passer. Bartkowski this time with all kinds of time. In fact, they're double teaming all 3 of the front 3 right there. And finally, Bartkowski just runs out of options because, as Dick said, the secondary and the linebackers of the Buffalo Bills, the remaining 8 then, if you will, had the secondary and the seams covered.
Jim, remember that timeout Bartkowski called early? Could come back to haunt him. He just called another one. That leaves him with only 1 with 1:35 remaining. And the ball now back out of Buffalo territory to the Falcons 42. 1 timeout remaining for the Falcons. They just can't seem to get it going. When they need the big play, they don't get it. A 12-yard loss there. Ben Williams and Sherman White have done a tremendous job this year with the pass rush. Nelson and Haslett stopping the run inside along with Smerlis. The Bermuda Triangle, they call them, as Jim Kelly mentioned earlier. And that's our time remaining in the half.
Well, Bartkowski is confirmed with Lehman Bennett, former assistant under Chuck Knox of Los Angeles, as Dick has told you. There is the score. Buffalo, a 13-yard run by Joe Cribbs, and a touchdown pass from Joe Ferguson to Frank Lewis. And 3 Atlanta interceptions that have been thrown by Steve Bartkowski, and that's the story of your first half.
2nd and 22, the ball at the 42-yard line, and they have to get to the 36 of Buffalo.
Not a bad time for the Bills to come to the blitz.
Francis and Jackson and Jenkins, the wide receivers, and here they come. And the toss up the middle to Alfred Jackson. Or check that, Wallace Francis. And Francis is tackled at the 44-yard line. They get a good deal of that back. Mario Clark makes the tackle. And he wants him to line up in a hurry. Clock continues to run with 1 minute and 18 seconds remaining in the half. Keep in mind the Falcons have but one timeout remaining. Jackson is wide right. Francis and Jenkins to the left. Bartkowski back again. He has time, and he drills it up the middle, and a great catch by Alfred Jenkins. And Jenkins is still going and out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Charles Rhodes makes the play. So Bartkowski with two big pass plays to Wallace Francis and Alfred Jenkins. We have exactly a minute remaining in the first half, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Atlanta Falcons and a chance to get on the board.
What a job Alfred Jackson, number 84, did just to hang on to the football. Take another look. Steve Bartkowski afforded lots of time for the Atlanta Falcons. Back there, hangs in the pocket, now moves out just a little bit, throws it right on the rope, and what a grab by Jackson down there. Simple post and a crossing pattern. Take a look, isolated now. As you go one-on-one, the Buffalo Bills defender Charles Rome beaten there. Now he makes the move on the post pattern, and no help on the play. First down, Atlanta.
Beyond the 10-yard line, they can get a first down without scoring. The Falcons trailing the Bills 14-0. Bartkowski fires it away, and that almost, if Romes had been 6 inches taller, been an interception. Wallace Francis, the intended receiver, and I think he ran a different pattern.
He pulled up short down about the goal line. Bartkowski looking in the left corner of the end zone all the way. Francis pulled up short and wanted to turn inside. The defender was there, and otherwise it would have been a very risky pass.
Jim, amazing the way the fortunes have changed in this game. It looked like Buffalo might be in front 21-0 and 17 if they would have clicked with the field goal. Atlanta's hoping that maybe it could be 14-7, but anything on the board will be a plus for the Falcons now. Jenkins 84, Francis 89, wide left. Jackson 85, wide to the right. Andrews the lone setback, and in motion comes Junior Miller. 2nd and 10 at the 11-yard line. Bartkowski looking for a receiver, and in the end zone, out of bounds, intended for Alfred Jenkins. Bill Simpson was defending, but he caught the pass and was out of the end zone, so it'll be 3rd and 10, and now the pressure mounts for Atlanta.
You take another look. They simply crisscrossed that time. Number 89, Wallace Francis, and number 84, Alfred Jenkins. Bartkowski going to the deeper of the two backs. You look at Wallace Francis down about the 5-yard line. He goes for the touchdown, and the ball just slightly overthrown. Wouldn't have counted because he was out of bounds even without the impetus supplied by the defender.
Now the Bills go with the 4-down lineman with Kadish, number 71, in there, and Rufus Best, 28, is the nickel back. And Junior Miller goes out of the game, and Lynn Kane, 21, comes in. Alfred Jackson goes way wide left, 85. Jenkins split right. Big play, 3rd and 10 at the 11 with 49 seconds to go in the first half. Bartkowski fires. Incomplete. Intended for Jenkins, and tremendous defense by Mario Clark, who stayed with Jenkins step for step and knocked that one away, and it's 4th down. Isaiah Robertson puts some pressure on, and now Tim Mazzetti will come in and put Atlanta hopefully on the board for them.
Step for step and stride for stride. You look at Bartkowski now. He fires it right on the money. Incomplete. And it was Jenkins saying maybe pass interference, but no. All three officials, they had a little pyramid of their own formed around the receiver and the defender, and they waved it off simultaneously.
Tim Mazzetti, who suffered a pulled groin muscle earlier this week. James will hold for Mazzetti. It'll be a 28-yard attempt. Perfect from this range so far this year. The kick is up, and it is good. It was angling to the left, and it was close, and the crowd had their hopes alive, but the kick is good for Mazzetti, who is now 6 for 6 from that range, and the Atlanta Falcons are on the board 14-3 with 41 seconds to go, and that's the way they played a lot of their games this year. They've been behind, they've come back, and if they get the good field position, close the game up, we can have a different story in the second half.
But again, even though they got the blocked field goal and had good field position, they only had 2 timeouts with which to work. The Buffalo defense did the job and kept them out of the end zone. 3 interceptions in the first half for the Buffalo Bills, and the Falcons have been unable to crack that goal line, so they trailed it by 11 points. And still with 41 seconds left to go in the half, the Bills will get the football back, Dick, and still have some time left on the clock.
And a good point. You'll see that the kick was tipped. It was deflected, but still made it anyway. 28-yard field goal for Mazzetti, 14-3, but you bring out a good point. The Falcons did have 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line and couldn't get in for the touchdown. Now Mazzetti will kick off.
Looks like the ball was actually deflected through the uprights. It looked like the kick was low and either hit a helmet or hit somebody in the back and caromed off to go up and through.
So Mazzetti will kick off deep for the Buffalo Bills, Terry Miller and Artie Owens. .41 seconds remaining in the first half. Bills have all of their timeouts remaining. And it's going to be Artie Owens at the 6-yard line. Former wide receiver from San Diego. And not a bad return to the 25-yard line. So 37 seconds to go. Clock stopped right now. Tackle made by Bob Glazebrook. So let's see what Ferguson has in mind with a 14-3. Sure, he'd like to get at least into field goal position.
Interesting to see what Chuck Knox will elect to do. They had it fourth and about the length of the football, and they went for the field goal, which was blocked. That led to the Falcon field goal. Now with 37 ticks on the clock left, and the arm of Joe Ferguson, who's had the hot hand in the first half, you would expect that they would go to Frank Lewis, 82, and number 80, Jerry Butler.
Roland Hooks, 25. Is in the backfield. Ron Jesse, 81, is the third wide receiver out of the shotgun at the 25-yard line. Ferguson looking, firing. It's deflected and intercepted. The pass is intercepted by Al Richardson, the rookie from Georgia Tech. And the Atlanta Falcons can score again. They're at the 17-yard line of Buffalo. And their first interception is a big one this afternoon. It's made by Al Richardson, his fourth of the season, and he leads the Falcons.
And you take a look. The ball is actually tipped by Bob Glazebrook, 36, right there. Okay, deflected up and into the waiting arms of Al Richardson, who comes up with a big INT. You wonder why Ferguson forced that ball, because Glazebrook was between he and the intended receiver.
So you can't have it both ways. If you want to sit on your 14-3 lead, that's one thing. If you want to get hungry and maybe get some more points, that's what happens.
Hey, what a difference here. If the Falcons could get the touchdown, all of a sudden you were faced with trailing 17-0. Then you go in at halftime and it's only 14-10.
28 seconds to go in the first half. Atlanta has one timeout remaining. They're at the 16. Bartkowski going for Junior Miller. Touchdown! Junior Miller, a touchdown. And the Atlanta Falcons have quieted the crowd here at Rich Stadium. A touchdown pass to Junior Miller, his sixth of the season. 16 yards, and the Falcons very much are back in the ball game.
Simple crossing pattern. You see Junior Miller, number 80, lined up at the tight end spot. He runs the out pattern. They had Wallace Francis turning in. They spun him around, and the man beaten on the play, Steve Freeman, the 6-year man from Mississippi State, number 22, who had an interception so far this afternoon. And just like that, one play later, Falcons right back in this football game.
James will hold for Mazzetti. He could bring the Falcons to within 4 of the Bills, and we have had a lot of scoring action in the last minute of this ball game. 22 seconds remain, and the point after is good, and that's a 14-10 game. So the Falcons, who were dormant and quiet, thanks mostly to the superb play in every phase by the Buffalo Bills, have come back and trail 14-10, and you can hear a pin drop here at Rich Stadium.
It took 17 seconds. We were just talking, there were 39 seconds left to go in the first half, and the Bills had the ball, and we were wondering if they were going to open up.
So the Bills are finding themselves in a ball game now, and the breaks can turn things around. The deflection by Glazebrook, the interception by Al Richardson. Earlier, the Bills picked off 3 of Bartkowski's passes, and Bartkowski now with 16 touchdown passes. He holds the Atlanta club record with 17. He's not really had a bad game all year. He spread his passes around, as we've seen today. The scoring drive, one play, the 16-yard TD pass that took only 6 seconds.
Care to speculate as to whether or not Buffalo will throw the ball with 22 seconds to go?
Cribbs is deep. Well, they might with 22 seconds to go, but they have to get it deep enough downfield. They didn't get it deep enough last time. They intercepted and had good field position, and the Falcons finally click. That's going to really help them during the halftime, I think.
If you're Atlanta, an omen of things to come had to be the fact that that field goal that looked like it was going to be short was actually deflected through the uprights, and the fortunes turned right there.
All right, Mazzetti kicks off to Cribbs. Cribbs 2 yards in the end zone, will play it safe.
If that ball bounces on the other end of the football, it bounces out about a yard. Mr. Cribbs has got to cover that football quickly.
There again is that very brief scoring drive by the Falcons. Back in the game at 14-10.
Can't be much briefer. I would expect the Bills simply to run out the clock here with 22 seconds, because the momentum has obviously gone the way of the Falcons in the last minute and a half ever since the Bills had that field goal block. And they had been completely dominant, even though Atlanta had the football for 8.5 minutes in the first quarter before Buffalo touched it. Then Joe Ferguson drove the Bills 65 yards in 5 plays, the last of which was a touchdown toss to Frank Lewis.
Ron Jesse, number 81. is playing back in the crowd, booing the decision to run out the clock. Great thing about the crowds, right? They always have a chance to second guess you.
They didn't actually run out the clock. He fell down in the clock. Ferguson took the ball and went to his knees, trying to say, okay, we'll regroup at halftime.
Well, that'll be it for the first half. And it's a sour ending for the Buffalo Bills fans here. And the Atlanta Falcons have definite hopes. Keep in mind, these teams went into this game tied for first place in their respective divisions. And the Buffalo Bills jumped in front 14-0. Superb defense, 3 interceptions, pressure on Bartkowski. Falcons couldn't run. Meanwhile, Buffalo was moving the ball at will through the air. They had the big rush when they needed it. And then, of course, things changed. And Atlanta got on the board with a field goal and a late touchdown following an interception. And the score is 14-10 at halftime. And that is the end of the first half here at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Dick Stockton and Jim Kelly reporting the score. Buffalo 14, Atlanta 10.
We're here with the premier of Vlastovia at this typical American farm where he's taking a tour today, and he's asking about the farmer's pickup. The interpreter tells him that it's an 81 Ford. The premier wants to drive the Ford.
Yes, how good as guess, Smiley.
Well, this year, Ford has the best estimated MPG ever achieved by a 6-cylinder pickup. What?
He says your American roads are rough.
Well, Fords are built tough. How do you like the Ford, Mr. Premier?
It's like my wife. Tough, but very good looking.
We want to make you smile.
I'd play to his backhand.
We're going to make you smile.
Holiday Inn offers you the widest choice of the most popular resort locations.
I saw that.
Come to Holiday Inn where your smile says we're number one in people pleasing.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Tide's just right. That'll be a full moon. Hardly any wind. And the Lowenbrau's cold. Sure beats the office.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrau.
Sure hope the fish don't bother us.
Sunday, in a special one-hour season premiere of Archie Bunker's Place. Edith is gone. What is Archie going to do? Then on the season premiere of Alice, Mel hits the jackpot of his life. And it's a mad marathon on the season premiere of The Jeffersons, when Tom and George get set to race.
Chicken legs.
Hippo hip. Then an all-new show from the award-winning Body Human series, The Sexes Part 2. Exciting and all-new shows Sunday night.
This is a CBS News special report. Reporting from New York, here is Walter Cronkite.
Good afternoon. The Iranian parliament has set conditions for release of the 52 American hostages, and the White House is considering them. The parliament's vote came early today. Its demands non-interference in Iran's domestic affairs, return of the late Shah's wealth, the lifting of the freeze on Iranian assets in this country, and the withdrawal of private lawsuits by American companies against those assets. According to experts, the financial conditions may be difficult to meet immediately. President Carter broke off his political campaign in Chicago when the word came, flew back to Washington, and he's been meeting with his advisors almost uninterruptedly since then. Tehran Radio said the hostages could be released either in one group or in 4 groups, one group as each condition is met. And there were hints in the Parliament's action that it might only be necessary for the United States to pledge to meet the conditions in order to begin the hostage release. In Tehran, the former Foreign Minister Sadek Ghotbzadeh told CBS News by phone that conceivably the first hostages could be freed in a few days.
I believe as soon as the United States government has announced and made the first condition met, immediately by the plane which apparently has been prepared by the government or some intermediary, the first parts of them will be released either on Wednesday or Thursday.
Secretary of State Muskie said the United States is sticking by its policy that a phased hostage release is not acceptable. They should come out together, he said. Muskie said President Carter would make no decision until he sees a complete and official translation of today's actions in the Iranian parliament. This is Walter Cronkite in New York.
This has been a CBS News special report. CBS News is standing by to bring you further developments as they occur.
Back live now at our CBS Sports Control, I'm Brent Musburger with Irv Cross. It has been more than a decade since the Pittsburgh Steelers have lost 4 games in a row, but today they are in trouble against Green Bay. The Packers assaulted themselves with a snap over the punter's head for a 2-point safety, but then they came right back as Lynn Dickey Irv went to James Lofton here for 30 yards.
Boy, I tell you, that guy's quite a weapon, Brent. Dickey's had a good first half, throwing 9 for 19 times, 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we're going to have one of them cranked up here pretty soon.
Exactly, to Gary Ellis. And watch the one-handed grab in the end zone for 6. And Irv, here comes the second bad snap.
Boy, I tell you, it's really important, of course. Special teams play is about 1/3 of all plays in the National Football League, and you have to have clean plays.
And from there, it was Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, 42nd time. That great connection is hooked for a touchdown. But then, watch this sequence, and really here, Irv, you've got to wonder about the Steeler defense. Dickey to Ellis.
Well, I tell you, Ellis demonstrates good speed here. He's right in the middle of the soft spot of the zone, and the big guy weighs about 215 pounds or so, simply outruns the secondary. What an effort.
Now, elsewhere, 14-10. Many of you watching this game. Yes, Joe Cribbs has done it again. Scores on a 3-yard run. Ferguson has gone 11 yards to Frank Lewis. Bartkowski, though, rallying the Falcons 16 yards to Junior Miller. And the Packers leading the Steelers at the half. 14-9 is the count there. Kansas City comes storming back after Jones threw 2 touchdown passes, 18 yards to McCall, 7 to McCauley. Then it was Belton 8 yards and Steve Fuller on a 7-yard run. Tampa Bay shutting out the lowly Giants 23-0 at the half. Williams has just gone 25 yards to Mike Schumann, whom the Bucs picked up from the San Francisco 49ers. San Diego 17, Cincinnati 7. Fouts goes 11 yards to Kellen Winslow for his lone touchdown pass in that sequence. And Detroit leading San Francisco 10-7. Danielson 41 yards to Billy Sims. And James Owens returned to kick off 101 yards. Murray with a 32-yard field goal. And the St. Louis Cardinals lead the Dallas Cowboys 7-0 on a 1-yard run by Wayne Morris. So it was Atlanta-Buffalo. 2 teams tied for first place in their respective divisions. Watch now as Bartkowski pulls out, and here comes Isaiah Robertson, Irv, who's got a little fancy action to follow up with.
Isaiah still has it going. He's a pretty good linebacker with good range and picks that one off. And, of course, the lateral results in a big game for the Bills.
Then after that, it was Joe Ferguson to Frank Lewis.
Former Pittsburgh Steeler, by the way, touchdown.
And here he is. Oh, is he a fine-looking rookie out of Auburn. This is his 11th touchdown.
Every once in a while, you find that diamond in the rough that really glitters, and Mr. Cribbs has it all.
But with time running down in the first half, Bartkowski went up on top, and his brilliant tight end, Junior Miller, had it. Now it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the ball, and here comes Ricky Bell getting outside against the Giants, 21 yards. And again, it was Williams with time running down, and oh, did he hit Schumann beautifully. Let's now take you to the Silverdome. San Francisco, Detroit. Danielson to Leonard Thompson.
Of course, the Lions would like to run the ball and control the ball in the air, but they have a good passing attack, and of course, pretty good evidence right there. And Danielson goes with the air once again.
Think there was a defensive error here, Irv?
No doubt about it. He can't get that clear. Even Billy Sims can't get that clear.
You
right?
wouldn't have missed Sims in that sequence, right? Oh, here it is. A beautiful kickoff return by James Owens. But unfortunately, he pulls a hamstring as he gets down to about the Lions' 20-yard line.
What a big break. You don't realize how much effort it takes. Here, right there, he pulls up right there. He's limping in, goes the distance. Longest kickoff return of the year.
And that got San Francisco back in it. Then Murray kicked the field goal. Back with Roman Gabriel as the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
Few would argue that getting the mentally retarded out of institutions is the humane thing to do. But suppose they moved in next door to you. Watch 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
Welcome back to our studio in New York. And you know, sometime or other, every coach has a game that becomes a nightmare. A game when nothing goes right for his team and everything goes right for the other guys. Now, that nightmare became a reality for a man whose career has had one success after another. Remember this quarterback? Number 18, Roman Gabriel. Threw over 200 touchdown passes in his career, including this one that George Allen will never forget. The Rams beat the Green Bay Packers in 1967. And 10 years after that, Roman Gabriel retired. Then Roman was named the head coach at Cal Poly Pomona. That school is located a little bit less than an hour east of Los Angeles. And his Division II Broncos started out the season pretty well. They were 500 after 6 games, and that's good for that school. But then Roman took the team into Portland State, where they lost. They lost 93-7.
I don't ever recall quite having an experience like we had at Portland State. Now, we received the kickoff, and then our first offensive series, we handed off to one of our backs, and he got hit pretty good and lost the ball, and they recovered, and as the score indicates, they were very explosive, so we gave him an opportunity to score very quickly, and we were down, and then from there it just kept snowballing.
To 7. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, 58-0 at the half. So what does Coach Roman Gabriel say to the team in the locker room?
At halftime of the game, I probably said some things to our ball club that I would say to professional football players.
He was a little embarrassed because of us.
The guys were so mad that they were literally trying to just take it out on the man over him.
Everybody got pretty frustrated and awful mad, kicking the neck, watching the ball go all the time.
You can make a case that Portland State ran it up on Gabriel, but Roman's trying not to look back. He's got 3 more games to play, and winning those would be his best revenge.
Oh, you'd love to play him next year, wouldn't you?
I'd like to have the opportunity, especially if we could get us a few kids with a little speed that could cover some receivers, because everywhere else we match up to them pretty good. So one day we will get that opportunity, I'm sure. You remember when Custard played the Indians? He got massacred too, but he died. We got 3 more battles left, and we're still alive.
There's going to be a comeback for Roman Gabriel on this team then.
We certainly hope so.
You know, Brent, I was with Gabe out in L.A. for 3 years when he was considered one of the top quarterbacks in football. And if anybody can come back, that guy can, believe me.
Well, he did last night, even though they lost. Cal Lutheran 20, Cal Poly Pomona 13. So the Broncos at least played a lot better than they did against Portland State. And the NFL today continues as we send you back to the stadium now in the game you're enjoying.
The teams are back on the field. The Buffalo Bills, once 14-0 lead, is now 14-10. As you look at Joe Ferguson, we'll be back to take a look at halftime statistics in a moment.
Come, drive in the 4th dimension. Experience the 4-wheel drive edge of the American Eagle. Feel all 4 wheels bite into bone-dry pavement, slice through rain, eat up snow. The American Eagle takes your family with confidence where it's never been before. And introducing an all-new high gas mileage Eagle with a list price of only $59.95. Experience driving in the 4th dimension with the American Eagles from American Motors.
If the price of boots has kept you out of them, have I got news for you. Sears has genuine leather insulated boots and split suede hiking boots for just $19.99 a pair.
With lug soles, Goodyear welt construction, glove leather or split suede leather uppers and padded collar. Special purchase, quantities limited.
At $19.99, it's tough choosing between them. But at $19.99, you really don't have to.
At Sears, where America shops for value.
Look, Dad, there she goes.
That's great, son. Right on course. Hi, I'm Wallace Francis of the Atlanta Falcons, and that's my son, Ray. The time we spend together are the best part of my life. You see, I'm a single parent, and I know what it means for children to have a father in their lives. That's why I spend a lot of time here at the YMCA. They're supported by the United Way, and United Way volunteers help them with their programs.
But here, they even have a special program that brings fathers and sons together so they can really get to know each other. My contribution sponsored 10 kids at this Y. They do a lot for children who might not get the special attention they need.
The ball is really great, Dad.
That's good, son. We don't have all the answers, but I know one thing. A lot of young people would be off the course of life if it wasn't for the United Way volunteers. Thanks to them, and thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way. Way to go, Phil.
The preceding message was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way. Alcoa, producer of energy-saving aluminum. And by the new Norelco Rotatract razor.
Back at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, Dick Stockton with Jim Kelly and Tim Mazzetti getting set to kick off for the Atlanta Falcons to start the second half. The Buffalo Bills lead at 14-10, and the kick heads over towards Artie Owens' way, and it goes out of bounds, and they'll have to kick from 5 yards back. It has been an even game, not as far as the tempo. Earlier it was all Buffalo. Atlanta came on strong in the last couple of minutes, but the halftime statistics really indicate an even game, even though the Bills have outgained the Falcons in total yards.
Key statistic, obviously, you look at passing. Steve Bartkowski, 7 out of 15, but 3 interceptions. You know, that touchdown toss to Junior Miller just before the half, the first touchdown that the Atlanta Falcons have scored against the Buffalo Bills in their 2 previous meetings. Back in 1977, Buffalo shut Atlanta out, and back in 73, held them to just 2 field goals.
Mazzetti getting his shoe taped on the sideline right now. Butler caught 5 passes for 56 yards in the first half. Lewis caught the touchdown strike as Ferguson spread it around with Butler, Jesse, and Lewis, and Kane and Jenkins each caught 2 passes. You look at Artie Owens, 85 to the left, and Terry Miller, number 40, on the receiving end.
You know, Dick, this crowd is still strangely quiet. They have been stunned by the 10 points that Atlanta has put on the board so quickly. They are very, very quiet to start the second half. A feeling of anxious anticipation to find out what their team's going to do.
Yeah, they haven't recovered from that field goal, and then of course the interception and the touchdown to Miller. So Mazzetti will try it again. This time he tees it up at the 30-yard line. Buffalo Bills 6-2 on the year. The Falcons 5-3, both locked in ties in their respective division. And the kick will head to Artie Owens at the 5-yard line, and the former San Diego Charger takes off to the right side and is tackled just short of the 25. And so that's where the Buffalo Bills will take over 1st and 10. Joe Ferguson, number 12, 10 for 13, as Jim pointed out, with 121 yards and 1 interception along with the touchdown. His running backs, Joe Cribbs, number 20, who gained 33 yards and 11 carries, and Curtis Brown, number 47, who had the big gainer, a 30-yard gain, and carried the ball 6 times in the first half. The wide receivers, number 80, Jerry Butler, who caught 5, and Frank Lewis, 82. Now Gant and Mark Bramer come in, 2 tight ends. So one of the wide receivers comes out, Lewis, and Butler lone split to the left. 1st and 10 at the 25 for the Buffalo Bills. Joe Cribbs being chased from behind, gets beyond the 25-yard line. Wilson Famuina, the nose tackle.
We talk about the good job that the Atlanta defense has been doing on Joe Cribbs. He had 11 carries in the first half, 33 yards. His longest was the touchdown scamper of 13 yards, which means he's only averaging 2 yards per carry beyond that. So they're doing a fine job, the front 3 and the linebacking core of the Falcons, in containing Joe Cribbs.
And they've been trying to get him loose going outside, and he hasn't really broken it there. As you look at his numbers, gain of 2, 2nd and 8 at the 27, opening minutes, 3rd quarter. And here comes Curtis Brown. Brown going wide. He's hemmed in and stopped at the 25. Roland Lawrence, who made the tackle on Cribbs, makes the tackle once again on Curtis Brown. And now we're looking at a pretty solid, good pursuit by the Atlanta Falcons, backs and secondary, and you have a score there.
Fired up Falcon defense. Dallas was on the short end of St. Louis. The Cardinals 1-yard run by Wayne Morris led it 7-0. Dallas has just come back. They're still now they just started the second quarter now. A 4-yard touchdown run by Tony Dorsett. Cowboys and Cardinals deadlocked at 7.
Roland Hooks, 25, is in the game, and the shotgun formation. That means Ron Jesse, number 81, who caught his first pass of the year earlier. 3rd and 10 at the 25. Ferguson dumps it off. He has Cribbs. Cribbs leaps over a tackler and is stopped at the 32. Short of a first down, it'll be 4th down, and Cater will come in and kick for the Bills. So the Atlanta Falcons did the job on the first series as a distraught Ferguson comes off the field.
Good play by the right side inside linebacker Buddy Curry, number 50. Keep in mind that linebacking core, when we talk about them for the Atlanta Falcons, 3 rookies: Al Richardson, Jim Laughlin, Buddy Curry, and Joel Williams, the second-year man in there. He's the veteran of this young line, in fact the youngest linebacking core in the NFL.
You're looking at Greg Cater from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, a 10th round draft choice, and he made the ball club just below his season's average by 3 yards. Boots it. Roland Lawrence on a line drive kick, might return it, but he has trouble holding it on, and he's going backward. And Lawrence is trapped and thrown. He's still going back. An unfortunate development for the Atlanta Falcons. Ordinarily on a line drive kick, you think you get something going on a return. He couldn't hold on to it, and Lawrence found himself hemmed in back inside his own 20-yard line. So a tough break for the Atlanta Falcons, and this is the first time we've seen this crowd come alive in a while. We'll be back in just a moment.
Every year, millions of drivers suffer the agony of hillophobia. The fear of stopping on hills with a stick shift, with cars behind you, very close behind you. The only known cure? The ingenious hill holder clutch from Subaru. Now you don't have to go downhill until you want to. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Alcoa can't wait. If you've ever wondered how something so big got off the ground, part of the answer is light, strong aluminum. Aluminum's high strength and light weight made modern aviation possible. Aluminum is important to most forms of transportation because taking the weight off planes and trucks, and now cars, saves fuel. Aluminum in transportation can be an energy saver today.
We can't wait. We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
Monday on Flo, Crooked Farley's running for office, and Flo's about to run him out of the Yellow Rose.
Farley's never met a man whose money he didn't like.
Monday on the new season of Flo.
Lehman Bennett, like Chuck Knox, cut from the same mold. They don't get too high, they don't get too low, even keel, which is really the mark of a head coach. Lawrence gave ground and lost 13 yards on that return. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line now for Bartkowski. Lynn Kane going wide, has Junior Miller and a few people blocking, but doesn't get anywhere. Maybe a couple of yards before Lucius Sanford, number 57, from Georgia Tech. So the fans who are watching this down in the southeast remember Lucius Sanford from his Georgia Tech days. And Lynn Kane picks up a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd and 7 for the Falcons. Opening moments here, 14-10, 3rd quarter. Bills lead the Falcons.
Interesting, this backfield of the Atlanta Falcons. William Andrews, Lynn Kane, both kind of in the shadows of other running backs. Andrews in the shadow of Joe Cribbs when they were at Auburn, and Lynn Kane in the shadows of Charles White from USC. But they
2nd and 6, and he's dumped. Jim Haslett on the blitz with a great sack, and he came in fiercely from his right inside linebacker position. He has 2 interceptions, and he's been better on the run, but he stormed in on a blitz and dumped Bartkowski back to the 15.
Take a look coming in from the left side now. 6'3", 232, and Bartkowski took quite a shot.
Third and 16, a 10-yard loss. Haslett, one of the big stories in the Buffalo defensive resurgence this year.
You know, Dick, if you're Steve Bartkowski, it seems as if you've been looking at 3rd and a bunch all afternoon.
Lynn Kane tries to get a few, and he'll be stopped short of the 25. It'll be 4th down. Sherman White and Bill Simpson coming in to make the stop. As we mentioned, interesting story with number 45, Bill Simpson, who came out of retirement. He has had 3 interceptions in 3 games. He forced that play effectively. And now John James will come in and punt, and the Bills with Cribbs at the 35 see a possibility for good field position. That's what James has done today. He is a 9-year veteran from Florida, originally a free agent choice.
And Dick, the play selection by the Falcons on 3rd and long shows you the respect they have for the Buffalo Bills secondary, which has picked off 3 passes so far this afternoon.
Stunning in the line for the Bills. James, good high kick to Cribbs. And a fair catch called for by the rookie from Auburn inside the 30. So John James has done his job superbly. But the Buffalo Bills will take over at the 29-yard line, 1st and 10. A 46-yard punt, no return, which is what you want from your punter. I'll be back in a moment with Jim Kelly.
This is what the experts said about Subaru front-wheel drive cars in 1980. A structural package bristling with near Mercedes solidity, car and driver. Many similarities to BMW, both inside and out. Popular science. Reliable, inexpensive to maintain, road and track. And in our opinion, Subaru for 81 is even better. Subaru, inexpensive, and built to stay that way.
Introducing the revolutionary twin action shaving system engineered to outperform twin blades. The new Norelco Rotattract Razor. Inside 3 floating heads, Rotattract works like twin blades to grip hair. Raise it up, then razor it off, hundreds of times a second, for a shave that's twin blade close without a nick or cut. The new twin action Norelco Rotattract Razor. Cord and rechargeable. Twin blade closeness, but no gotcha.
The lights have been on since the start of this game. It's been overcast and crisp and cold, but nothing like the gale-force winds that they experienced here last week. And to the credit of Joe Ferguson and the Buffalo Bills, they managed to defy the winds and win the game. And of course, the 2 touchdown passes to Frank Lewis came with the wind at his back. Gant and Bramer, twin tight ends, 1st and 10 at the 30 for the Bills against the Falcons. 14-10, Buffalo in front. Play action pass. Ferguson freezes the linebackers. He's going deep for Butler. Overthrown it and is almost intercepted and should have been. And Rick Bias, number 38, making almost a Willie Mays World Series attempt at a catch there on the pass that was overthrown, intended for Jerry Butler.
Now, as you take a look, watch Ferguson, the straight drop, the good pass protection. Could have thrown the ball underneath to a man who was open, but goes up top to Butler instead. Ball is badly overthrown, as Dick said. Should have been intercepted by Rick Bias. A smart defensive play right there by Jerry Butler to knock him down and perhaps avert the interception as he was bobbling the ball on the way down.
Duke Ferguson, number 84, has replaced Butler perhaps for just this one down at wide receiver, former Seattle Seahawk. And the pass headed for Ferguson. He has it, hit by Bias immediately. Short of a first down by a couple of yards. So Duke Ferguson, originally a Dallas Cowboy 3rd-round draft choice, was traded to Seattle, picked up as a free agent by the Bills.
Simple down and out, the inside fake to Cribbs, holds the linebackers there, and look how open Ferguson is. Bias comes up, makes a good solid hit.
Is a first down.
Now you take a look at that San Francisco-Detroit Lions score. The 49ers have just come back. Ray Wersching, a 36-yard field goal to knot that score 10-10, 8:08 left to go in the 3rd. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have come back with a field goal. They trail Green Bay 14-12.
Kenny Johnson, the rookie, back in there, and he's playing nose-to-nose with Duke Ferguson. 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. And a mix-up and a fumble. And I believe Ferguson got to the ball. There is Jerry Butler on the sideline as they tend to him. Duke Ferguson remains in the game, and interesting that Kenny Johnson would come in. Of course, Bias perhaps needed a breather after covering Butler on that previous play. Frank Lewis coming in the game, wide receiver, and Bramer goes out. It'll be 2nd and 11 now for the Bills. 14-10 Buffalo. They led 14-0. Ferguson to Frank Lewis, 11 yards in the first quarter. Cribbs ran 13 yards for a touchdown to make it 14-0. But a field goal and a Bartkowski to Milotidi strike tighten it up. 2nd and 12 at the 42. The pass overthrown, intended for Lewis, and a sea of red jerseys. And now Ferguson is really upset, screaming at an official, but I wonder if it's an official or is it the sideline.
He's
I'm not
screaming
sure.
at the bench.
Yeah, he is upset at the bench. Now maybe Lewis came in with a play that Ferguson didn't agree with.
Whatever he said, the first part of what I read was that's the 2nd time it's happened.
And you're not going to say what the second part was. Ron Jesse is in the game, number 81. They go into the shotgun. Roland Hooks, 25. The all-purpose 3rd down back also in there. 3rd and 12 at the 42. 9:20 remaining 3rd quarter. Out of the shotgun. The pass almost intercepted by Buddy Curry, and Curry started a run before he had the ball. And Nick is not a more frustrated football player on this field than Joe Ferguson right now, as Curry had it in his hands and couldn't hold it. It'll be 4th down.
Well, another break for the Buffalo Bills that time, because on that series of downs, Atlanta had 2 golden opportunities for the turnover. They get the ball back anyhow as the Buffalo Bills are about to kick it away.
Kenny Johnson, who has not returned a punt this year, and the kick by Greg Cater. He lets it bounce, and it goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line. So the crowd a bit testy right now, and so is Ferguson. He matches the mood of the crowd. Buffalo once with a lead, has it 14-10, but Atlanta has the ball when we come back.
To Subaru, an economy car is only economical if it stands up year after year. Spending less at the pump is no bargain if you start spending more at the garage. And a study of Subaru owners, Road and Track magazine said, quote, one of the most trouble-free cars we've surveyed. That makes Subaru the economy car it pays to hold on to. Year after year after year. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
American business is being taken over by revolutionaries. Revolutionary Savin copiers. Savin's advancing in New York, surrounded